Good morning, everybody. It's me, Waddles, and today it is not a snapshot day, my dudes. No. It's something more. The end is near, lads, laddies, and lovers. Minecraft 1.21.4 pre-release a numero uno. Let's dive in. Oh, but first, remember to delete that like button for me. Thank you very much. Wow, so I can't believe it. Honestly, I'm a little bit emotional today. The Pale Garden biome, how it's looking right now, fully mobbed up. Come on, this is like the worst one possible. Give me a break. The Pale Garden biome, fully paled up, a little bit of moss going on, but unfortunately, absolutely no fog going on in a relatively tiny biome at that. The feedback, it was all just in vain. Unfortunately, when it comes to the Pale Garden biome, this biome is now, I fully don't watch it, buddy. The creaking, the resin, everything else that we've seen so far in this snapshot cycle, well, there's not probably going to be very many more major changes. I mean, you guys have seen the videos I've cooked up for you. You know my opinion on some of this stuff. Good, bad, in the middle, whatever. But at the least, we now have an answer. I still think it's really funny, though, that the main menu title panorama right here, this is definitely the old Pale Garden generation with, like, less pale moss going on, right? Like, that's kind of weird. I guess it is never the dev's fault, though. Fair enough. Tragically, unless something surprise changes, I think one of the greatest missed opportunities with this update of all time, aside from, well, making a bunch of more cool changes to the biome, is the fact that we don't currently have an advancement for even, like, finding the creaking, interacting with it, picking up a creaking heart or anything like that. At the least, I hope it's not too late for it. I would love to see a brand new advancement pop up related to the creaking because it's so unique, so different. I mean, it's just so cool, right? Bundle update. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot about this. In last week's snapshot, there was a gigantic change to the bundle, and I don't even know how I missed it. I literally have this thing marked down. I guess my writing just wasn't big enough or whatever, but this thing is huge. So bundle, you know how it goes. It took them like 3.5 years to get this thing into the game. They dropped it, and one update later, it changes again. Fresh for the creaking update that still doesn't have an official name, so odd. We have a better bundle. Take a look at this thing. The bundle right here, the items inside of it, they have been, it seems, squashed together maybe a little bit, but definitely you get a brand new bundle UI going on with the different items having, like, you know, that little highlight down behind them. Now, the big reason this is happening is because some items, like items that are pretty dark, almost invisible, like take a look at that darker glass pane. Imagining this thing inside of the bundle without that item highlight, and I mean, even with the item highlight, it's essentially invisible. Without it, I mean, it would have been entirely practical. There was also a strange bundle bug that we discovered on stream in the hardcore creaking update world where, like, essentially the bundle wasn't working and you couldn't say, like, take individual items out of the bundle. Instead, it would always default to the topmost item, even if you weren't selecting it. Well, that one's been fixed right here today. We can take any item out of the bundle again. It's beautiful. Creaking update polish. A lot has gone down. Warning, this is going to be loud. Lightning bolts right here. If I hit the... okay, well, not that one. I mean, look, a lot of great things are going to have to line up for this relatively niche scenario to be able to be scenarioed in survival Minecraft. But let's say we had a survival creaking mode, then all of a sudden, giant thunderstorm. The lightning bolt hits right near the creaking. Well, previously, the creaking, it would kind of like visually light on fire, but it would never take any damage. Now, as you can see here, it doesn't even light on fire. It just keeps wandering around like nothing happened. Creaking, survival creaking, more specifically, meets a name tag. A name tag, unfortunately, even though you have a beautiful romantic name, Jessica, it's not gonna work. The creaking, it can no longer be name tagged again. Throwing it back for Jessica here, if you can remember a couple of weeks ago, this change was actually already made. However, for some kind of strange reason, inside of one of the later snapshots, it was kind of reverted. I mean, I'm pretty sure this was always just a bug and never meant to happen to begin with, but sure enough, it's gone again. We've got an interesting move happening with the creaking when it relates to the nether. So first things first, if I go ahead and slide into the nether, give it a second, nether loads, then I go ahead and jump back into the overworld. The creaking, its position, it would basically reset. That's not gonna happen anymore. Next up, and this one's really interesting, but with a clever placement of a few blocks here. And to be clear here, I have no clue why in the world you would actually be trying to pull this off in survival, but I mean, hey, you never know. Let's say we had a nether portal lit over here. Then let's say we wanted to get a creaking, and we were forcing that creaking to spawn up here on this dirt block. If I give it enough time, well, give it enough time, and a creaking will spawn into the world here. Now, this is where things get interesting, because if I want to say send this creaking over to the nether, I dump some water, I let him go ahead and walk over, walk over to the nether and go into the portal. Well, the creaking in survival, it does not use the nether portal, and even if I'm like, say, properly in survival, not looking at him or anything, well, yeah, it just doesn't work with the nether portal. Interesting technical updates, they continue yet again. New item models inside of this week's snapshot. Hand animation on swap. This is all about having a different swap animation if you have an item that has a unique model. Now take a look at this pic right here. This is me the other day holding a spyglass, like taking a look at myself holding a spyglass, as to say. I believe they went ahead and fixed that animation and how it would look. But I want to say this whole custom swap model animation thing has to do with when you have an interesting looking item, like let's say the spyglass or maybe the shield. Should there be a different animation that plays when you're swapping? Well, now you'll be able to actually go ahead and adjust that animation. And speaking of models, we have a bunch of brand new technical model stuff as well. We've got a brand new team tint source type. This can be used to change the shading of an entity, the tint of it, depending on its theme. The head is special model type that was added a couple of weeks ago. We've got to change a new field for animation. This is really cool because if you go ahead and make a custom head, now you have the ability to have that custom head actually be animated as well. Kind of like what goes on with the piglin ears or that mouth right there if you send a little bit of redstone power over to it. View entity boolean property. That's a brand new one. This is all about spectating entities. Or in other words, let's say we had a creeper. I go ahead and spectate the creeper. You know, you get this different POV. It's really, really cool. Yeah, it kind of relates to that. A good chunk of the way through the video today, this is a quick reminder to make sure you're subscribed. These next couple of weeks are going to be very spicy, especially with what's going on Bedrock right now. That Bedrock stuff, I think, is going to apply to Java 2. Is going to be pretty crazy. A couple more technical stuff, context dimension property, time numeric property, and then compass numeric property as well. We also have a brand new empty item model type that will not render anything with no fields. I wonder what in the world they were cooking with this one. Like, what does that do? Shulker boxes. They're an interesting way of storing your items moving around in the game. When you open a shulker box, it's kind of hard to see here, but when you open it, the shulker box, the shell pops up and down. Well, this shell popping up and down, of course, when it moves up, it kind of, you know, like maybe gets in the way of something. And now, once again, if it goes up and... Okay, never mind. They didn't actually fix it. If it goes up, it's meant to trip the tripwire. Never mind. This is interesting because the same thing should happen if I had, say, a pressure plate and I went ahead and opened this. It should, you know, trip the pressure plate, but it's just not working still. That's weird. This is being pulled from one of the 15 different bug fixes that happened inside of this snapshot. When it comes to our other bug fixes, that's just about it. The very final thing I'd like to talk about today when it comes to this update is release date speculation, because this is interesting. I ask you but a question. 1 year ago today, this moment, where were you? Were you perhaps maybe watching my snapshot video on Java pre-release 1.20.3? Well, yes, that's because maybe you were. On November 20th, 1 year ago today, the first pre-release for 1.20.3, also known as the Bats in Pots update, it released. If we want to speculate on update to release timelines, I mean, this makes things so easy. Of course, this isn't a guaranteed thing. This update is also going to release at the same time on Java in Bedrock, so perhaps by the time this video is out, the next Bedrock preview is on, and it might be a big one with some interesting stuff. So for a full proper guess, we have to wait to figure out what's going on with Bedrock Edition, but for Java, the pre-release cycle starts on the same day, which could mean the release date for the update should probably be around the same day too. Last year, December 5th, 2023, the Bats and Pots update released. Later that week or the next one, another snapshot for the next update at the time begun. So not only does it look like this update is probably going to release at the beginning of December, but it looks like there might very well be time for more updates later this year. What do you think? Call it down below. When will the creaking update release, and what in the world is this update's name? Will we ever know? If you haven't seen it quite yet, check out yesterday's video. It looks like seasons. There's some really strange stuff going on with those things. It's been me, Waddles. I'll probably be live again on Friday. I'd love to see you there. At the least, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.